For Husker Countdown, I'm Austin Orman.
This is going to sound a little glib, and I don't mean it that way, but I'd love to be back in the mid-1990s, right? So I don't need to say more, Sam.
And the truth of the matter is, why not? Why shouldn't we have those aspirations here?
That was a joint statement made by Chancellor Ronnie Green and President Hank Bounds at a press conference held after the firing of Sean Eichhorst only 2 weeks ago. Many Husker fans feel the same. When they think of Nebraska football, they think of the 1990s. When they think of the 1990s, they think of powerful, dominating offensive lines, fast, relentless running backs, and swarming, suffocating defenses. On those foundations, along with the pillars of savvy quarterbacking and a legendary coaching staff, Nebraska was dynastic, winning championships in 1994, 1995, and 1997. Since then, the foundations of the program have been uprooted and the pillars have crumbled. The Acropolis that is Memorial Stadium still stands strong on 358 consecutive sellouts in the emotions of fans across the country, but if the football program falters, will the lore of the stadium? No matter the opinion on the state of the program, no matter if the TV is tuned to VCR tapes or Huddle highlight reels, tonight is a special night for Nebraska football. Tonight, under the bright lights of Memorial Stadium, the 1997 football team, with names that will forever be etched on the hearts and minds of Husker fans, will be honored for the 20th anniversary of their national championship. Current defensive tackle Mick Stoltenberg had this to say when asked about the 97 team on Monday.
Oh, definitely. Those guys are legendary across the state. You grow up hearing about them. I didn't really get the chance to watch them. I was 1 year old when they won that game, but it's something you definitely hear about. Fans of kind of some of the older fans definitely. I've seen tons of video clips and things like that of that 97 team, and it's awesome that we're kind of getting the chance to honor those guys because they're legends.
Quarterback Scott Frost both threw and ran for over 1,000 yards. He completed just over half of his passes, throwing only 5 touchdowns and 4 interceptions, but his arm was most useful to the Husker offense when he was pitching the ball to running back Amon Green, who rushed for over 1,800 yards and had 22 touchdowns on 27 carries across those 13 games. The Huskers' next leading rusher behind Green and Frost? Fullback, yes Husker fans, fullback Joel Makovica, who rushed for nearly 700 yards on 105 carries. Matt Davison had the most receiving yards that year with 232. In 2016, Nebraska had 5 receivers go over that mark and 2 more eclipse 190 yards. Davison only had 1 touchdown catch, but it was an important one for the Huskers.
Third down. Frost to the middle. Juggle. Diving touchdown, Nebraska. Davison on the deflection. Nebraska's a point away from tying the game.
That was former ABC and ESPN announcer Brent Musburger on the call. The play was the flea kicker, a bobble and kick by Chevin Wiggins into Davison's outstretched arms. While that 1997 team averaged a nation-leading 46.7 points per game with the bevy of options at Tom Osborne's disposal, most people will think of defensive coordinator Charlie McBride's black shirts on defense that allowed only 16.5 points a contest. The defensive line that year got contributions from 4 future NFL players, seniors Grant Wistrom and Jason Peter, and juniors Chad Kelsey and Mike Rucker. Anchoring the back end of the Husker defense were defensive backs Ralph Brown and Mike Brown, who each had 2 interceptions. The secondary as a whole had 12 on the year. The 1997 team also had standouts on special teams. Chevin Wiggins and Bobby Newcomb had over 200 punt return yards each, and kicker Chris Brown made all 62 of his extra point attempts and was 18 of 21 on field goals. The icons were not only on the field, but the coaching staff was filled with monumental Husker names as well. Along with Osborne and McBride, Turner Gill, Craig Bull, Ron Brown, Milt Tenneper, George Darlington, Frank Solich, and Boyd Epley patrolled Memorial Stadium's east sideline. Running the table in the regular season led the Big 12 champion Huskers to an Orange Bowl date with Tennessee, led by legendary quarterback Peyton Manning.
And tonight, one legend will leave the game after 25 years and countless compelling moments at Nebraska. Tom Osborne makes his final tribute to the game he loves tonight.
That was CBS's Jim Nance describing Osborne before the game. Osborne would retire from Nebraska with a career record of 255 wins against 49 losses and 3 ties in 25 seasons, winning the 3 championships. In the 42-17 Nebraska win, Scott Frost rushed for 3 touchdowns and Amon Green added an Orange Bowl record 201 yards on the ground and 2 scores, while the Blackshirts forced and recovered a fumble, intercepted a Manning pass, and limited him to only 131 yards through the air. With the win, Nebraska would split the national championship with similarly undefeated Michigan, a point of contentious debate among both fan bases to this day. Here's what Osborne said to Michelle Tafoya after the victory.
Well, it's a kind of a bittersweet moment. Very proud of the players. Have great appreciation for our coaching staff. Most of what's happened has been due to their efforts and the players. We have great fans. I want to thank them for being here. So it's a great night for Nebraska.
While the Huskers would reach the 2001 national championship game, the 1997 team was the last one to reach the top of the college football world. Since then, the program has found itself with leaky pipelines, black shirts that wave white flags, and coaches and administrators seemingly out of options. Tonight, Husker fans will get the opportunity to honor some of the greatest players in Nebraska history, players that walked the tunnel walk and can talk the champions' talk. Maybe, just maybe, the sight of legends from the past can inspire players and fans of today to try for another glimpse at glory. For Husker Countdown, I'm Austin Orman.